My fiancé cheated on me with my little sister, and instead of calling off the wedding, I used the ceremony to end both of their futures in one night. But 3 weeks before the rooftop ceremony in Houston, I was still the devoted, organized bride everyone expected me to be. The one who handled deposits, contracts, schedules, and every messy detail my family avoided. That night, I was in bed when a late text from an unknown number lit up my phone. I opened it without thinking. The photo showed a dim hotel room, white sheets, soft gray headboard, and a man lying shirtless, half turned away. The familiar curve of his jaw and the faint scar near his shoulder made my stomach twist. It looked like Dylan. I almost convinced myself it wasn't him. Then I zoomed in. On the pillow beside him was a thin silver bracelet with a chipped blue enamel heart. I'd bought that bracelet for my sister Lily years ago. She wore it everywhere, always shaking her wrist to make sure people noticed it. Below the photo were 3 words, "Missing you already." My chest tightened, but training from years in HR kicked in. I didn't cry, scream, or call the number. I saved the photo, took screenshots, logged the time. My voice stayed steady as if I were documenting a workplace complaint. That detachment was the only thing keeping me upright. When I checked my banking app, the shock sharpened into something colder. There were multiple charges from the same downtown hotel. Weekends, I thought Dylan was working late or traveling for a project. They were all on my card. My wedding expenses and their affair, sitting in the same list of transactions. I scrolled further and found payments I didn't recognize. Lily's credit card company. Twice. Both taken from my savings account, which was shrinking faster than it should have. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial, deliberate, and planned. I took more screenshots, more notes. Evidence first, emotions later. Growing up, Lily had always been the one our mother protected. The dramatic one, the baby. The one whose mistakes were framed as accidents and whose selfish choices were softened with excuses. I was the reliable daughter. The one who saved money, worked full-time, and didn't cause trouble. It made sense that I was the one paying for the luxury rooftop wedding overlooking Houston. It also made sense, apparently, that I was the easiest one to exploit. By morning, I had a plan forming, not a final one, just the first outline of something ruthless and precise. At breakfast, Lily breezed into our parents' kitchen wearing the same bracelet from the photo. She hugged me, smiled, asked if I wanted help choosing table linens. Dylan texted me an hour later. "Long night at work, sorry if I worried you." I responded the way any tired bride would. Calm, polite, unquestioning. They didn't know I had seen everything. And they had no idea that I wasn't going to walk away quietly. Because if there was one thing my job had taught me, it was this: document first, confront later. And when the time is right, let the truth speak louder than anger. I spent the next week studying Dylan and Lily with the same quiet precision I used when investigating misconduct cases at work. They had no idea anything was wrong. Lily floated through our parents' house as though she were the bride, not me. She slipped into my dress fittings, offered opinions no one asked for, and told vendors she was basically co-planning everything. Dylan acted sweet, apologetic, and tired, his usual way of avoiding accountability. I let all of it happen, because underneath my calm responses and steady breathing, I was building a case. The first real escalation came 2 days later. I walked into my mother's living room and heard Lily laughing loudly on the phone. I froze when she said, "If Emma didn't hoard everything, Dylan would have chosen me first." Then a pause. "No, she won't suspect anything. She trusts people too much." I stepped back into the hallway before she noticed me. My hands were steady, but something inside me tightened with a clarity that felt almost cleansing. She wasn't just betraying me. She felt entitled to it. Later that night, I checked my accounts again. Another payment had gone through, $600 to Lily's credit card company. Not charged, paid, using my savings. That was the moment I stopped feeling heartbroken and started feeling strategic. At work the next morning, I scheduled a private meeting with Mr. Harris, my father's longtime lawyer. I told him I needed clarification on the documents related to my father's construction business, which he planned to transfer to me after the wedding. I didn't mention Dylan or Lily, not yet. He pulled up the files and explained the structure, the shares, the transition plan. Then he pointed to something I'd never noticed, a particular clause tucked deep in the will. A morality clause. It stated that any family member who knowingly conspired to financially exploit another family member forfeited their right to future business profits and property distributions. It was written in clear, iron language. Mr. Harris said my father had added it years ago, after a relative tried to take advantage of him during a health scare. "Your dad wanted to protect you and Lily," he explained. "He wanted to make sure no one ever used you." I nodded, keeping my breathing slow. He had no idea how relevant that clause had become. When I returned home, Lily was in my room without asking, swiping through my wedding vendor emails. She looked up casually and said, "Mom thinks you're getting overwhelmed. Maybe let me handle more. You're not good under pressure." I said nothing. I just smiled and walked past her because I had exactly what I needed. Over the next days, I collected everything. Hotel receipts, bank transfers, screenshots of messages between Lily and Dylan that I found on Dylan's synced laptop. Even timestamps showing when Lily had logged into my accounts. One message from Lily to him nearly made my breath catch. "Just keep using her money until we can be together. She won't notice." I saved that one twice. Then I called Mr. Harris back and asked him, very politely, if the night before the wedding we could schedule a private rehearsal dinner for immediate family only. I said I wanted Dad to review some documents formally before the big day. He agreed immediately. Meanwhile, I acted like the perfect bride-to-be. I laughed at Lily's jokes. I let Dylan kiss my forehead. I accepted my mother's constant reminders that Lily meant well. Inside, I was already standing on the rooftop of that hotel, imagining the moment the truth would play across the screen. I wasn't just planning a wedding anymore. I was planning an ending, and they had no idea. The night before the wedding, the luxury hotel had set aside a private room for what everyone thought was a small family rehearsal dinner. My parents arrived first, then Dylan, then Lily in a white dress that looked suspiciously close to a bridal gown. She gave me a smug smile, as if she knew a secret I didn't. But I was the only one in that room who understood what was actually about to happen. Mr. Harris stood at the front with a stack of documents. My father sat straighter than usual, sensing something was off. My mother hovered beside Lily, offering her the same protective glances she'd given her since childhood. Dylan took my hand, whispering, "You look incredible," in a tone so rehearsed it almost made me laugh. Mr. Harris began, "Before tomorrow's ceremony, your father asked that we review a few final items related to the business transition." He flipped a page, his voice steady. "But in doing so, I came across certain transactions and correspondence that must be addressed immediately." Lily stiffened. Dylan's hand slipped from mine. Mr. Harris lifted the first printed screenshot, the hotel selfie. Then screenshots of my drained savings account, the credit card payments, the ring receipt Dylan bought for someone who wasn't me, the messages between them, the timestamps. My mother's gasp filled the room. Lily jumped up. "This is taken out of context. Emma is overreacting." Mr. Harris didn't even look at her. "This is financial exploitation of a family member. The morality clause in the Rivers business documents is clear. Any individual who conspires to use or defraud another family member forfeits their right to all future business profits." He turned a page. "Lily Rivers is hereby disqualified from receiving any portion of the business or its future earnings." The silence that followed was heavy and sharp. My mother finally whispered, "Lily, tell me this isn't true." But for once, Lily had no performance ready. Dylan muttered something about confusion and stress, but my father cut him off. "You used my daughter," he said quietly. "Both of you." For the first time in my life, my mother couldn't protect Lily. She covered her face and cried. Dylan tried to reach for me. "Emma, please, let's talk privately." I stepped back. "There's nothing left to talk about." That was the rehearsal dinner. The next day, I walked down the aisle only far enough for the guests to see me. The rooftop was beautiful, skyline glowing, flowers arranged exactly as I'd planned. Everyone was smiling, until the big screen behind us flickered to life. A gentle piano track began, childhood clips of Lily and me laughing, running through sprinklers, sitting under the Christmas tree. Then the tone shifted. The hotel receipts, the messages, the ring, the photo. Dylan's face drained of color. Lily's mouth fell open. The final frame was a recorded note from Mr. Harris explaining the morality clause and the consequences now in effect. Gasps spread like a wave through the crowd. I stepped forward, holding my bouquet steady. "Thank you all for coming," I said. "There will be no wedding today." And then I walked off the rooftop while the guests turned toward Dylan and Lily, demanding explanations the two of them didn't have. In the weeks that followed, everything unraveled exactly as it should have. Lily was removed from the business. My father transferred control to me early. Dylan faced legal action for unauthorized use of my accounts. Vendors demanded payment directly from him and Lily. Their reputations crumbled. I used the prepaid honeymoon credit to take a solo trip, where I finally breathed freely for the first time in months. Now, looking back, the betrayal isn't what stays with me. What stays with me is the moment the screen lit up, the truth filled the air, and I realized something simple and powerful. Karma doesn't shout. It documents. And then it walks away.